Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is a Fantellect back with another video. Today we are going to be talking about chemistry grade 11 and a specific unit in chemistry 11. If you probably saw from the title of the video, you probably exactly know what we're going to be talking about today. Or now you can see that we're going to be talking about significant figures as it is stated on the left side of the presentation that I have set here for you guys. So right now, Unit 1 is matter. We're going to be talking about matter, but significant figures are falling under this unit, which is pretty significant on its own to learn, because it's going to literally get you prepared for the upcoming units, and not just that, but also grade 12 chemistry. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what significant figures are and how they are significant figures. So the definition of a significant figure, you know what, I'm actually going to just bold this out so it's a little bit more clear for you guys on your end. So a definition of a significant figure. Significant figures of a number in positional notation are digits in the number that are reliable and absolutely necessary to indicate the quantity of something. Now, you guys can probably, if you want, pause the video, go ahead and skim this definition through. I'll just leave it like this for a quick minute and pause that video and try to understand that definition. Now, if you guys can see, it's quite distinct that I've left an image here for you guys to sort of visualize what this exactly means. If I zoom in, so significant figures, as you can see, so there are leading zeros, in between zeros, non-zero digits, and trailing zeros. I'm going to show you guys what I exactly mean by this. So here I have this little Brightspace tool that I have set up for you. So a significant digits, accuracy. I'm trying to find the rule. There we go. So we have right here the rules of determining significant digits. So we have all non-zero digits are significant. Process that in your head, because this is all the four rules of determining significant digits, and these four you really need to know in order to actually understand these sig figs. So number one, all non-zero digits are significant. Number two, all zeros between two non-zero numbers are significant. Number three, leading zeros are not significant. Lastly, 4, trailing zeros are significant only if there's a decimal somewhere in the value. So it can be anywhere in the value. So here are some examples that I have set for you guys to do. But first, of course, I'm going to be sort of showing you guys, because without any representation, you guys won't understand. So here I go. So the answers are actually on the right, so that's perfect. You guys know how there's 6 significant digits here, as you guys can see. All right, so 38.4703 milliliters on this example. So there are 6 significant digits. If we count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Now, let me give you guys a quick example why this is 6 significant digits. There is a 38. These numbers, the numbers with numbers, which is like 3, 8, 4, 7, and then 3, are all significant. Now, zeros are usually not significant digits, but whenever it's in between two significant digits, then it automatically turns into a significant digit itself. So in this scenario, the 0 would be a sig fig, as would the rest of the whole value over here. Now, why is question B 2 significant digits? Now, by the way, you guys are probably wondering why I call them digits instead of figures. Now, sig figs and significant digits are both the same thing. They just have different names. I actually don't even know why. I should probably learn that myself. But sig figs, right? So why are there only 2 sig figs in this question here? Now, let me tell you. 0.00052 grams. Now, the reason why there are only 2 significant digits is because there are 4 leading zeros. Now, if you look back at rule number 3, it says that leading zeros are not significant in any sort of scenario. But don't get your mind mixed up, because I also said here that trailing zeros are significant only if there's a decimal somewhere in the value. Now, since there's a decimal here, it doesn't mean that the trailing zeros are going to be counted. This is totally false. Now, these are leading zeros. As you see here, number 3, leading zeros are not significant, regardless of how many decimal points there are in that value. So let's redo this. 0.00052 grams. We only take the 5 and the 2, and, well, we're going to result that answer as a sig fig. So there are only 2 sig figs in this question. 5 and 2 are the significant figures. And as for the 0, as for the 4 zeros that are leading with the whole value, those get crossed out, and those are that just goes to waste. Now here is another scenario, question C. It is sort of a little bit more confusing than the other 2 above. Now, the value we have right now is 0.05700. Now, the reason why there's 4 significant digits is because here, we obviously, since we know that rule number 3 is leading zeros are not significant, so we, of course, cross out the 2 zeros that are leading with this value, so we are left with 5700, which is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 significant digits. And here I wrote a message. So 4 significant digits. Zeros at the front do not count, but the ones at the end do because of the decimal, like we said over here. Now, rule number 4, trailing zeros are significant only if there's a decimal somewhere in the value, which in this case, there is a decimal right after the first leading 0. So the two zeros at the end are counted. Now, question D. Here is something a little bit, well, a little bit more confusing than the others. Now, I know it's a small value. It's only 500 grams, as it is stated here. Now, how many significant digits are in value here? How many sig figs are in this value? There is only 1 sig fig. Because going back to the rule of determining sig figs, we can see that number 1, it says all non-zero digits are significant, okay? So that means 5 is, well, using the first rule, of course, it's going to be significant. We know right off the bat. But using the second rule, we hear and we see quite distinctly that it says all zeros between 2 non-zero numbers are significant. Now, if you check these 2 zeros at the end, these are trailing zeros. That means there is not another significant number at the end, so those zeros cannot be counted, unfortunately, right? If there was another 5 at the end, then those zeros would be counted, and instead of the 1 significant figure, it would be 4 significant figures, okay? So I'm going to sort of write that down on a piece of paper, or I might even use a computer, actually. If I do have a sketch, I think I do have a sketch, right. I should have a handwriting panel or something like that. Hopefully we do something. We have something like that. Or we could just use sticky notes, I guess. But I'd probably really want us to use paint. There we go. We can use paint. That's not a big deal for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a question for you all to do. And if you can't do it, then it's no problem. You guys would just have to, sort of get your mind used to those formulas, and yeah, we'll just see how that goes from there. So I can write out a couple questions. I'll use my hand, or I might use the pad, but so question 1, I'll use question 2, question 3, and I'll have question 4 at the end. So let's start off with 0.025. I know my drawing's messy because I cannot draw on a computer like this. It's super hard, but here I go. So 250, 808, and let's lead with a 0.0760. Okay. And you know what? I'm just going to have question 5 right down here. I'll just have question 5 as 1,250. Perfect. Okay, so I'll have the equal sign there for it. Oh, whoops, that's my bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and try these 5 questions really quickly. So I'm going to give you guys a quick minute to visualize this and sort of put this in your head and process it and see if you could actually do this without using the formula or looking at it. And yeah, so okay, that should be enough time. You guys could pause the video, of course. So let's see how many significant figures are in question 1. So our number or value is 0.0025. Okay, so well, we know exactly what the value they're giving us. It's quite distinct. Let's process this. Well, using the rule, the 4 rules, we know that one of them is leading zeros do not equal to a significant figure. So those are automatically crossed out, okay? And now we are left with 2 numbers, and of course that is going to go and equal us 2 sig figs. My writing is just garbage. 2 significant figures for question 1, because like I said, the leading zeros are always, but always, not a significant figure. It is never going to be a significant figure whatsoever, regardless of how many decimal points there are in that value. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Let's go on to question 2. I'll just do this so we know that we're going to put the answer on the right side. Okay, so 250. We have 250 as our value. Now, we have leading zeros that do not count, and then we also have trailing zeros that do not count. So trailing zeros, in other words, are meanings that are basically the end of the value. So what's the end of 250? It's, well, the 0 at the end, right? That's the end. So the trailing zeros are not significant figures. They are not significant figures whatsoever, regardless of the how many decimal points or without. Now see, 250, since there's no decimal point anywhere, then it doesn't count. But hear me out. If there was a decimal point right in between 2 and 5, that would count. If there was a decimal point right in between 0 and 5, right over here, then that 0 will count as a significant figure. It would have been 3. But in this scenario, when there's no decimal point, it is only going to be 2 significant figures. Okay? Let's just get that in our heads so that next time we won't really mess up. Okay, so we have 808. Okay, we have 808 as our value. Now, what is the significant figures? How many significant figures are here? Okay, well, we know that whenever there is a 0 in between 2 significant figures, then, well, that 0 is counted as a significant figure as with the other 2 significant figures. So we have 8 and 8. These 2 are not zeros, which is leading us to with the result of having 2 sig figs. Now we have a 0 right over here. Since there is no decimal point, it would usually be not a significant figure. But since there is 2 significant figures here, in between there's a 0, then that counts as a significant figure. So in that case, the 0 is a significant figure. Okay, so let's move on to the 4th question. We have 0.0760. Okay, so right off the bat, from question 1, we know that the leading zeros are absolutely not going to be going through with this question. So we just get that out of the way and don't care about it whatsoever. Now, we know right off the bat that 7 and 6 is significant figures because they're not zeros. They have value. It's not non-value like a 0. Now, but since we have a 0 at the end, oops, I should change that color back to red. Now, since we have a 0, do you think this is a significant figure, or is it not? Well, what was one of the rules? whenever there's a decimal point, the 0 is always going to be counted. Okay, so this one has 3 sig figs. I'm not gonna write the sig figs because there's not much room, but I'm gonna write 3 because, well, whenever there's a decimal point, that 0 will be counted regardless. Now, if that 0 was over here in front of the 7, then it would not have counted because, well, it's a leading 0, just like these two. If it was in between here, then it would still count because, like I set up number 3, it's a sig fig whenever there's 2 significant figures surrounding it. So that is 3 significant figures. Actually, I'm just going to write the 6th question because I actually have one other question that I want you guys to see. I actually put that to black. I don't know why it's not working. Okay. Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to use red over. Okay, so I'm just going to write the question. Okay, so I think I had, right. Okay, so 250. You know what? Now I'm just going to, that was not the one I was going to go for. So I'll just, whoops, that totally messed up my, wanting. Perfect. Okay. Whoops, got that. Redo. There we go. Okay, so my number is going to be 150 decimal point. Okay. Moving on to number 5, let's go ahead and see what that is going to be. Okay, so we have 1,250. Now, will the 0 at the end count? Don't trick yourself, because just because that there is a comma there, that is not a decimal point. So these 3 count. This gets absolutely deleted because, well, there is no decimal point and trailing zeros don't, you know, exist in the trailing area. So we're going to leave that one out and delete it. Okay, so we know that's 3 significant figures. Let's move on to question 6, our last question. I know I've sort of made it longer. That's my bad, but I really want you guys to really understand this concept because it's going to be very, very needed in your next units and grade 12 chemistry, like I said in the introduction. Okay, so 150 point. There's a decimal there in front of the 0. Now, does the 0 count? If you said yes, pat yourself back in the back because you're correct. Because, listen, 1 and 5, we already know. Those are significant digits, so we already know that. So, whoops. Let's undo that. Okay, so we know that both of these are significant figures. Now, since there's a decimal right over here, that 0 right here is going to be a significant figure because, well, there's a decimal. Whenever there's a decimal in the value, wherever it is, wherever, it could be the outside, it can be in between the 1 and 5, it can be in between the 5 and 0, that 0 will be counted. So we are left with 3 significant figures. Okay. Let me move on to a, you know what, let's save this for, intro 1. Oh, that's not, huh, you can't save this PC2 now. You know what, we don't need to save it anyways, no, it's not a problem. Okay. Now, I'm going to teach you guys significant figures, in mathematical ways, but you guys all need to stay tuned because it's going to be in the next video right after this one. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and I really, really hope you guys understood some sort of you know, a quick understanding of this whole entire unit of significant figures. The next subtopic about significant figures will be the math that you have to use. So it'll be multiplication, division, and addition. Subtraction doesn't really, you know, they're not really used with significant figures, but you'll see in the next video. So please stay tuned and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you guys really thought this was informative. If it's not informative, just please let me know so I can sort of work my way up there for you guys to understand this whole concept. And yeah, please leave a like. Peace out.